Hey guys, what's up? Disney Nuts here. How you guys doing? So today I'm going to show you how I photograph this. Now obviously this is taken at Epcot. As you can see, it's a long exposure, which is how we get those really cool long lines. But the interesting thing of this photo, if you notice, it's done by the day. So before we head over there to Epcot, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the equipment that you'll be using to be able to take these shots. The first thing we're going to need is obviously a tripod, and it can be any type of tripod. In this case, we're going to be shooting off of the side of the railing, so you can use the small tripod if you want to. No need to bring the big one. And that's going to be done. We can do from different areas, but we're going to shoot the first one from the side, so that way we get the reversed waterfall with the monorail coming through the side. The next thing, which is really important, is actually called an ND filter, which I mentioned in a couple of my videos. But today we're going to be using one which is called a variable ND filter. And the good thing of these variable ND filters is that you can actually adjust them. So for example, as I turn it here and dial it in, I can actually control how dark this is. Now this is the first one that I've used, that I've actually bought because I was really interested in using them. This one actually is an ND 2 to 1000. 1000 being the darkest, obviously. And the way that this works is that the numbers are multiplied, so you get 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 124, 2048. So we're going to be able to get using this ND filter is what we'll put on our lenses. Now notice that this one's a pretty small one, and the reason that it's pretty small, that the cameras for the RF, the front of it is obviously pretty small, as you can see here. Depending on your camera and depending on the lenses that you're using, depending on the size of the ND filter. Now I've mentioned a couple times before that always try to get the ND filter the largest possible, in this case for the largest lens that you have, and then use what they call a ring down to be able to change the thread of the inside to the other lenses that you have. That way you only need to get one filter for all your lenses. Another piece of equipment that is good to have but not necessarily needed is actually using an ultra wide angle lens. And what I like of the ultra wide angle lens is that you can capture a lot and put it into the frame. Plus when the monorail is coming around, it gives you that really cool stretching features as once it starts hitting the edges of your image. Now when it comes to locations, when we head over to Epcot, there's a bunch of places that we can shoot these photos from. And the good thing is that the monorail, you can actually see it from multiple locations, all the way from the entrance going up to where is the exit of the ride, as well as right there on the top where you got these water fountains and all this other fun stuff happening. So don't only limit yourself to the locations that I'm using here in this video. Try other locations as well. You'll be surprised at the stuff you'll get, and maybe even better photos than these. As you guys know, the monorail goes around every 10 to 15 minutes, so you got to be patient and wait for it. And many people will like rush sometimes and try to take as many shots. But my opinion is to always be patient, and that way you're going to get your best possible photo. Now another tip I like to tell people is count how many seconds you actually see the monorail in the frame, because you don't want it to go over the time that you are doing your exposure, because it's going to happen, it's going to look see-through. For example, I'm going to wait for the monorail to go by once, and I'm going to count how many seconds I see it in my frame. Here we go. And not yet. I'm going to start 1, 2, 3, 4, and that should be enough seconds for the exposure. Now we're going to be using manual mode, and the reason for that, which is M here on the dial, and the reason for that is that I want to be able to control all three parameters of what consists of the exposure, which is the ISO, the f-stop, and the shutter speed. Now the ISO, you got it, ISO 100, because we want to be able to get the best quality out of our sensor. So when it comes to the f-stop, it's what we're going to be playing with, because we want the time to be 4 seconds. Now for example, if I go ahead and change my f-stop to something like F8, and I'm using my exposure indicator here on the bottom, it's going to say that I need to go under, and it's going to bring down the time to 2 seconds, and I don't want that. I want it to actually be 4 seconds. So that is where I'm going to be playing with my f-stop until the exposure indicator in the middle comes to 4 seconds, which comes up to F13. Again, we want to be able to lock it down to a certain amount of time, which in this case is F4. Now I want to start as soon as I got enough of the monorail in the frame. There we go, I just started it. And we're hoping that it will stop before the monorail ends, because that way we get no clouds in it. Okay, let's see what we got. There we go. Another really good tip that I like to give, and this is something that applies really to all types of long exposures, is set the timer on your camera. If you got a 2-second timer, great. If you got a 10-second timer, great as well. And the reason that I say that is that many times when we're dealing with long exposures, if you hit the button and you shake the camera, you basically have to start all over again. So setting the timer, you let the camera count down and take the photo when it's ready to go. Okay, pretty cool, right? Now that's how you take those photos at Epcot, doing those long exposures with just those simple components. Now again, if you've taken this shot or used any of my videos for any of the photos that you've taken recently, I'd love to see them. Feel free to put a link below to where I can find them, see them, and I'd love to see how they came out. Now this is the first time watching these videos. My name is Disney Nuts Lewis, and I do theme park photography videos like this, and I've been visiting the parks for 16 years since I work really close by to it. So I usually go during the afternoons, and I like doing these videos to share my knowledge of what I've learned and other people who start taking photography, and hopefully inspire them to do these types of shots as well. And with that said, try different settings, try different locations with what you've learned on these videos, because that's what makes photography and Disney photography fun. Okay, until then guys, this is Lewis signing out. Till then, see ya.